Hello everybody, it is I, Eternal Flame here, and today I'm here for another discussion video that's actually kind of similar to a discussion video I made a while back, which is the entire discussion about if Yuji should have awakened Shrine. However, for this video, I want to talk about Yuji's other curse technique that he had awakened over the time skip, which is if Yuji should have awakened Blood Manipulation. Now, the main reason why I'm making this video is because I believe that Yuji awakening Blood Manipulation is also somewhat controversial, though not for the same reasons of why Yuji awakening Shrine is controversial. Where the main two reasons I've commonly seen people disliking the fact that Yuji has awakened Blood Manipulation is one, because of how many users of Blood Manipulation there actually are in the series, and now Yuji just being added to the pile of those Blood Manipulation users that have been in the series, and the second reason is mainly because of how lackluster Yuji's Blood Manipulation capabilities are in comparison to the others that we have seen like Choso and Kamo Noritoshi. There's also the third issue where it feels just kinda out of nowhere and just like another power that is added to the pile of powers that Yuji has awakened over this time skip. So I'm going to talk about all three of these points, if they are valid or not, and if Yuji should have awakened Blood Manipulation and the advantages that could come and not come with the fact that Yuji has awakened Blood Manipulation. Now up first, and I think this is an important thing to note, this is all my opinion as well. However, I'm first going to talk about the point of Yuji being not the only person to have Blood Manipulation. Now this mainly comes from the fact that Yuji has a curse technique now, and the curse technique that he's revealed to have is the one that is shared with the most amount of users up to this point in the series, since there are bare minimum 2 Blood Manipulation users. But then there's also Eso and Kechizu, who don't have Blood Manipulation directly, but also have access to similar blood-like powers that Yuji has access to. So a lot of people, because of that, are feeling like Blood Manipulation, at least for Yuji, isn't a special power, and while I do agree that it's not a special power, I don't agree that it's a bad thing. After all, the entire purpose of Yuji getting Blood Manipulation is mainly just to be a means to an end. Blood Manipulation is literally just shown to be something to support Yuji in battle, mainly supporting his ability to heal. After all, with Blood Manipulation, Yuji is able to overcome the weakness of RCT at least a little bit, where we can use CE to replenish the blood rather than just using Reverse Curse technique, which would cost much more energy. However, this comes of a fault not of Blood Manipulation, but also just people's expectations as a whole. Most people were expecting the curse technique reveal of Yuji to be some grand reveal and grand addition to Yuji's abilities that he can actually use, and while Blood Manipulation definitely has the potential to do that, it's not that right now. Right now, it's mainly just made to be a means to an end. Now, it should also be noted, I do think Blood Manipulation might actually be a lot better on Yuji's hands than it was at the start of the fight, and that is purely because of the fact that Yuji has now landed 8 Black Flashes, which each Black Flash is a skill amp and draws out even more of your potential, so Yuji might be even better with Blood Manipulation. He just hasn't used it yet, we have no idea, but I do think right now Blood Manipulation was made just to be a means to an end, which is why he got Blood Manipulation to begin with, because it is such a useful technique, not because of the fact that it's supposed to be a special technique that represents Yuji, because it is not that. That's what I believe the purpose of Cleave is going to be, by the way, or Yuji getting Shrine, which Yuji is going to make Shrine his own. Meanwhile, Blood Manipulation, while I do think he's going to master it and get better with it, I think the purpose of Yuji getting Blood Manipulation right now was just to be a means to an end to help with his healing ability. However, it being a Yuji exclusive power is not something in my opinion to be disappointed at, mainly because Yuji is right now just doing whatever he can in order to make sure he has a chance to survive against Sukuna. And now we're going to move on to the second issue, which is Yuji's lackluster usage of Blood Manipulation, which in my opinion, that's not just a good thing, it's something I absolutely love, that Yuji's usage of Blood Manipulation is actually so lackluster. After all, how often is it where in shows the character immediately gets massive mastery over their powers as soon as they get access to them? Especially considering the fact that Yuji has only had this power for a month, and this is really his first time experience with a curse technique in general. Like, yeah, I know Yuji's a massive prodigy. I still think Yuji is a massive prodigy, but Yuji just mastering Blood Manipulation and using it immediately better than Choso or Kamo, I think would be out of the blue. And like I was saying earlier, this is something they directly comment on, which is the fact that the Yuji is only focused on using Blood Manipulation as a way to help with his healing. Now, yes, I do think Yuji should have used Flowing Red Scale and Flowing Red Scale Stack, but I do think that Gege is going to reveal that for later, but I don't think that Yuji should be a master at Blood Manipulation yet. Now, I do think he is going to master it in the future. That is something I'm going to hone in on this video, especially because of Choso's words that it's the role of the little brother to surpass their big brother, but I think it's still really good that Yuji didn't start out with mastery over Blood Manipulation. So in my opinion, Yuji being such a lackluster user of it is a good thing. Now, if Yuji went in fully master with this technique, I actually probably wouldn't call it out, but I wouldn't feel as good about it as I do right now, with Yuji not being a master of the technique and having to grow with the technique more and more. I just wish we could actually see Yuji using it a little bit more. Now, yes, he did use his blood to reattach his leg when he was inside of Sukuna's domain, but I really want to see what Yuji should be capable of with after Yuji had landed a total of 8 Black Flashes. But to nail the coffin home, Yuji is not made to be some blood manipulation prodigy, some master at blood manipulation in just a month of time with that month of training alone. Yuji was motivated, sure, but I don't think he was intended to match someone like Kamo Noritoshi, as well as Choso, who had over 100 years of practice in blood manipulation. Now, I do think that Yuji is going to grow into it and master blood manipulation the more and more time that passes for him. Especially considering Yuji's entire theme across this entire arc has been the fact that Yuji has the power and potential to grow to eventually match the strength of Sukuna. After all, Gege specifically had Urame for a reason, mentioned the fact that Yuji has the same potential as Sukuna. So it's only going to be a matter of time until Yuji masters blood manipulation, but right now I don't think that's a bad thing. I genuinely think that's a good thing, so we can see the starting point for Yuji, and that's why I think Yuji having blood manipulation be this lackluster is a good thing. He mainly focused on making blood manipulation really good with his own fighting style, rather than trying to force himself to become someone else. Like I said before, the only thing I wish Yuji already had access to was Flowing Red Scale and Flowing Red Scale Stack, because that makes a lot of sense for Yuji to learn. But does Piercing Blood feel like a move that Yuji would have? No. Does Piercing Blood feel like a move that fits with Yuji's moveset? No. Does Supernova feel like it would? No. None of Blood Manipulation really fits with Yuji's current moveset right now, and it would require Yuji learning an entirely new, different moveset for him to use it properly. And even if Yuji doesn't end up mastering blood manipulation like I think he is going to, I still think him having lackluster blood manipulation is a good thing, because it can be used to show that Yuji, despite having the massive amount of potential he has, still has room to grow, still has to spend time training, and still spend time growing. Even though he is someone with a massive amount of potential, he's not going to master blood manipulation immediately. So basically, either route that Gege takes where Yuji ends up growing with blood manipulation, or Yuji doesn't end up growing with blood manipulation and just continues to use it as a means to an end, in my opinion, it's still really good either way, because it either shows that Yuji is flawed or that Yuji has a massive amount of potential, which I'm kind of okay with either of them. In my opinion, I do personally prefer Yuji still having a lackluster blood manipulation right now and eventually mastering it, mainly because of Choso's statement about the little brother always surpassing their older sibling. However, I can see it going either way. It really depends on how Gege ends up executing it. Though we also know JJK is not shy away of having exponential growth, looking at you Gojo after awakening and you Yuta Akotsu. But now we're going to get into the final reason why a lot of people do not like the fact that Yuji is awake in blood manipulation, which in my opinion, this is kind of one of the few valid criticisms about Yuji awakening blood manipulation, being that it's kind of just added to the pile of powers that Yuji has awakened. And this is more so something I blame on a huge other issue that has come with the entire Shinjuku Shodan arc. Now, I love the Shinjuku Shodan arc, but I have two massive problems with it, which one of those other problems I'm going to get into with an entirely different video. But this main problem that I've had with the Shinjuku Shodan arc, which is its usage of flashbacks, and the fact that they kind of just immediately went right into the battle as soon as Gojo was unsealed. Now, of course, there are some things I genuinely think work much better as flashbacks. For example, the entire reveal of the plan for Yuta Akotsu to take Gojo's body would not have worked if we saw that happen live. But I do believe way too many things were revealed via flashbacks. For example, I do think we should have gone into the fight knowing that Yuji had both RCT as well as blood manipulation, mainly because those weren't that big reveals. Like, Yuji having RCT wasn't that big of a reveal. It sort of just happened and then got overshadowed by the fact that this was an entire Sukuna dialogue chapter, or the chapter where we saw Yuji using blood manipulation for the first time. It kind of got overshadowed because Megumi couldn't take control back of his body. Both of these cases where we see Yuji's techniques just get kind of overshadowed, which in my opinion would have done better if it happened during the 1 month time skip in Sked, and we actually saw a little bit of a training arc. Especially considering the entire purpose of Yuji awakening blood manipulation and Yuji getting RCT were that they weren't supposed to be that major, which if we were to go into the fight knowing that, I think it would have been a lot better. Like, not that many people were surprised at the fact that Yuji had blood manipulation and RCT. A lot of people called that mainly because you can't really go into a battle like this without RCT especially, and a lot of people were expecting Yuji to get blood manipulation as well, which both of these reveals were okay in the current moment, but they ended up getting massively overshadowed. Only really talked about the people who wanted Yuji to have a cursed technique, but then it also got overshadowed because it wasn't that good, which led to it joining the box of powers that Yuji had awakened out of nowhere because the timing and pacing between Yuji awakening those powers were way too ludicrously small. Now, I do want to note this, none of Yuji's powers he's awakened out of nowhere, at least in my opinion, all of them got explained or had enough build up to them, especially Yuji awakening blood manipulation because of the entire line of us knowing that Yuji is willing to eat anything, but I still think that it should have actually been shown to us rather than it being shown to us in the middle of battle that Yuji had access to this cursed technique. However, I also get the entire criticism of these powers being out of nowhere, mainly because of the fact that Yuji awoken them all, or at least shown them all off really fast and relative towards each other. Like, Yuji in this arc alone has shown off a total of 5 new powers in comparison to what he had before, which those 5 new powers are, of course, RCT, Simple Domain, Blood Manipulation, Shrine, and his soul punches that are able to weaken the vessel like Sukuna's output. Now, yes, all of these abilities both have explanations as well as build-up for how they were happening, but I can still get why you would feel they were out of nowhere because of the fact that he was awakening them all at once, and I do think that it's just too many powers to awaken all at once, and I think it should have been paced out a little bit more. However, I will also say that I don't really think this is a fault of Yuji getting blood manipulation or makes Yuji getting blood manipulation bad. I more so think this is the fault of Gege for not really pacing this out and immediately giving him blood manipulation alongside the other powers, basically making it bound that someone was going to think it was out of nowhere because he got 5 powers, and this was just Gege being like, okay, Yuji's the MC now, let's give him 5 powers, just to make him actually feel like the MC, since he hasn't really felt like the MC the entire story. Now, I will also say this, Yuji has always felt like the MC, at least in my opinion. In my opinion, you don't have to be extremely overpowered to be the main character of a story, and Yuji straight up does lead the story. Like, a lot of the story can't happen without Yuji being there. I will also say that much. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there are a bunch of people who feel like Gege is just doing this to make Yuji feel like more like the main character because he doesn't really have the standard main character way of getting a bunch of power-ups at once. He is just kind of underpowered in comparison to most of the verse, even now. So you might be wondering ultimately what my opinion is on Yuji getting blood manipulation, whether I think that's a good thing or not a good thing, and in my opinion, I do believe Yuji getting blood manipulation was a good thing, especially because of the way that Gege handled it. Gege had made sure there was enough build-up for Yuji to get blood manipulation with the entire line that I would eat anything to kill Sukuna. Not just that, but we also knew that Yuji was capable of being a vessel, so Yuji becoming a vessel for his brothers so he could use blood manipulation through them, that one made a lot of sense as well. But Gege also made sure to go out of his way that Yuji wasn't a master at blood manipulation yet. While Yuji could use blood manipulation in combat, he wasn't a master of those abilities yet, but he does have the potential to master them, especially with Choso's own statement that the little brother is always destined to surpass the big brother. Now, of course, there's also a chance that Yuji will never master them, which I think either of them work in this current state, considering the fact that Yuji has landed 8 Black Flashes so far in total. So in my opinion, Yuji awakening blood manipulation isn't really a bad thing. The only bad thing about it is the fact that Gege kind of just included it in the massive pile of powers that Yuji awakened all at once, rather than pacing itself out, but at the same time, that's just a minor nitpick and it's not that bad. However, I want to hear what you guys think in the comment section down below about Yuji awakening blood manipulation. Am I wrong? Am I right? Let me hear in the comment section down below. Anyways, I'm gonna see y'all later. Peace out. Have a good day.